And welcome to the Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. Head over to Royal Retros, use the code Flightdeck at checkout, and you'll save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper. You can find me on X or Blue Sky at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and on Blue Sky over at Cliffy D.
How you doing, bud? Back into the thick of things again. Coming off the Olympic break, joy, heartbreak. It kind of gets us thinking of what could be in 2028. In 2028, when it comes to potentially Canadians playing touch football, flag football, could be very interesting. It's a new rivalry, so to speak. I guess we could say. It should be.
Because now apparently the Americans have dominated our sport, quote unquote. So I guess now we have to go and dominate their sport, which I'm sure they're going to say flag football is their thing, even though it's already been documented that Canadians invented what is considered known as American football or gridiron, as Europeans like to say. So
basketball too,
I guess in a way, yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 2028 to seeing actual flag football being played at the Olympics. That is going to be very interesting. And yes, we'll definitely be paying attention to Team Canada and who may or may not be joining the ranks of said team. As you know, CFL players are eligible, and could we see some potential superstars in this league go and be a part of Team Canada? That would be very interesting for sure. So yeah, if these current or these most recent Olympics have taught us nothing else, is that Canada and US, I mean, we're supposed to be friends, and sometimes we're not, and it's always an interesting thing, right? So I guess we'll have to see what happens in 2 years when it comes to this particular wrinkle of the US-Canada rivalry.
And by the way, you talk about dominating our sport. Can you really call it dominating when the men's have just won their first gold medal since the 1980s? No. The women, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
The women are a powerhouse. I will admit, the women are a powerhouse in the U.S. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I think they've now beaten Canada, I think it's 8 or 9 straight times, if I remember correctly. But still, it should be fun. And it goes to look at what potentially could be the players for Team Canada, whether it be current guys or free agents or stuff like that. And you never know. We'll have to see how that, as you said, we'll see how that works out over the next couple of years and see what happens there. So it's funny. I love being back on the airwaves. It's just that it's like a brand new start, obviously. There's not that much news, but we're always trying to make sure that despite that, we always try to follow our plan in making sure that fans know specifics when it comes to who's going to be on their team next year, who's new, who's left, et cetera, et cetera. There were a couple of signings when it came to minor signings when it came to guys that the Alouettes have signed. But I know one of the things we also wanted to do, considering that this is the time where we're obviously in the thick of free agency, has been for a couple of weeks, and it really has died down ever since the tampering window, the legal tampering window, and then actual free agency starting. I mean, are there any surprises for you? Maybe guys that have been left out there, but I think there's a couple of guys on the current that were on the roster that were Alouettes free agents that haven't been picked up yet, which are kind of a surprise to me. Since we're now in the thick of things, have there been any surprises to you, Cliff, when it comes to movement to the Owls or non-movement of players that were on the Owls to other teams?
I wouldn't say surprises per se, but I mean, definitely some interesting notes. Probably the most notable is the fact that Charleston Rambo is still a free agent, still unsigned by anybody, including Montreal. I don't know if it's a simple matter of the Alouettes looking at their current roster core, the current roster they have when it comes to the receiver position, and saying, okay, we're good with this. Or if it's maybe, did Charleston think the grass was going to be greener on the other side, and lo and behold, no, it's not. I mean, it's kind of hard to say right now because, again, nobody else has jumped on the opportunity to sign him, the Alouettes included. So will Charleston Rambo even be playing, or is everybody now sort of good with what they've got and they're just going to wait and see? And if there's injuries, then that's when all of a sudden these guys are going to start getting calls, because there's a few other notable free agents out there that I'm truly surprised have not found homes, whether it's with their previous team or with a new team. So I kind of feel like now the dust is settled for the most part when it comes to free agency. I think the teams that have made moves, and I think just about everybody has made moves for the most part, and they're good with the moves they've made. So I think a lot of it is now, okay, we're pretty well established with what we want. We do have the draft coming up, and of course, well, the combine before that, so you get a chance to evaluate who might be a good fit that's not on any team right now. So I can't help but wonder if a lot of this is just wait and see with guys like Charleston Rambo and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's all speculation at this point as far as, could we see some more additions? I mean, you absolutely could, but at the same time, I think all 9 teams now are kind of at the point where the moves they've wanted to make, they've made, whether it was re-signing free agents or going out and getting new ones. I think those moves now have pretty well settled down. As far as I know, no other major stars have announced their retirement either, although quite a few have retired, which is also very surprising. And I wonder if a lot of that has to do with, say, the tampering window, meeting a lot of teams making, shuffling the rosters around. And if you weren't signed, whether it was by your former team or your current team or your future team, maybe that's kind of your sign, is like, you know what, maybe this game has passed me by and I'm going to, ride off into the sunset. So it's hard to say really, but there's still a lot of movement that could happen, folks. But I think for now, though, I think the teams have sort of done what they're going to do and just let the chips fall where they may.
I find it strange too. It came, as far as we know, there wasn't anything that we knew of when it came to Charleston Rambo, whether it be injury wise or whatnot. Because he was in Grey Cup. I don't know. It's you would think that this is the type of things that you and I would think of, something not being picked up when it came to somebody who was released at the last moment out of camp. We've seen that before. It's happened many a time. But man, yeah, it's a guy who seems to be able to get the long ball. I understand he did have some drops in 25, but I don't know. You're right. It's really weird to have somebody who was I'll call him a name player, and not to be re-picked up, though. To be fair, though, the Alouettes have picked up a ton of guys, either be through free agency or just guys that they're bringing into camp. See if they can, if Danny Mac and the crew can find that diamond in the rough. But that's what that's what it's all about. And funny to say that so we're talking about free agency. We were actually lucky enough to have one of the newest members of the Alouettes join us on the show this week, right?
Absolutely. We seem to do this every year. We always seem to invite a new member of the flock, so to speak, to the Alouettes Flightdeck, and this year is obviously no exception to that. We are very excited. This evening, we will be joined by one Jerreth Stearns, who signed with the Alouettes in free agency. Very excited to talk to him. I mean, this is one of those, I think, stealthy good moves that Danny Machocha likes to make. Like, it kind of slips under the radar. Like, it's not a I don't want to put Jerreth down, but it's not a flashy name like a Tyson Philpott or anything like that. But like, this is one of those moves that can pay big dividends potentially in the long run as the season progresses, and especially as he integrates himself into this lineup. So definitely excited to talk to Jerreth, and definitely very excited to see what he can do wearing the Alouettes blue and red this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one thing by the way, speaking of player stuff like that, we're talking about it's stuff that we see throughout the off season. Is with Tyson, look like Tyson and Pham went to Hawaii this year. I'm curious to know if he got chased by any dinosaurs when he was there.
Because Hawaii is well known for their dinosaur population.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. Depends on which movie they're shooting there. So,
oh, did he find works as an
yeah,
extra? Maybe that's what it is. Like, what are they up to? Like, it's like the Fast and Furious movies where they have like 20 of them, and it's like, same movie but just shot differently, and some different twist to it. Now they're like Canadian football edition of Jurassic Park. I don't know. Like, in case you folks are wondering what the hell we're talking, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, the CFL's Instagram account, is showing what players are doing during their off season. And yes, the Philpott brothers did go to Hawaii, and Tyson and his girlfriend are. There's a picture of them in front of the Jurassic Park sign, which I guess is filmed in Hawaii. So, and there's a dinosaur there too. So.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, you're talking about Fast and Furious. I'd rather take the Jurassic Park with their reboot that they did. I'd rather take that than what the Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious is just car crash. Can't say that word. I can't go that direction because I don't want to get dinged. So, you know where I'm going with this. Car crash excitement. But we'll have to ask Tyson if he happened to come across any dinosaurs along the way. Real quickly, before we do get to the interview, one thing I want to at least give a quick update on. Last week we were talking about, last show, we were talking about when it came to how the team has made the decision to change, to, dare I say, disband the dance team, the official Alouettes dance team, and have a partnership with the Université de Montréal Carabin dance team, cheer team, whatever you want to call them. And I know we talked about it a little bit last week, in the last episode, we're talking about, was there potentially a cost-cutting move or whatnot? I can say somebody did reach out to me, somebody who was in the know when it came to this type of situation and this issue that we brought up. I was told that when it comes to the differences between disbanding the cheerleaders or the current iteration of the dance team and what is being brought in, I've been told that the cost between the two is almost the same, and potentially that the agreement with the Université de Montréal actually may be a little bit more, which I found a very interesting comment. Because considering that, I guess he would, to me, that goes to the point of what was the difference then. I guess we'll have to, if I can reach out and get some more information about that, I'll do so. But I just want to at least give a quick update on information that I had with somebody who texted me last week, just to give a quick update. So I just find it a little bit weird. Be the same, but a little bit more. But anyways,
it's like you're trading 12 to get a dozen. I mean, or I guess maybe 12 to get 13. I mean, I don't know, but I guess we'll see how it all pans out, really, when it comes to the cheer squad. But I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for it. I mean, as I've stated, I mean, I can appreciate and respect what these cheer teams do for, as far as, hyping up the crowd and everything like that and being part of the game day experience. But truthfully, I know myself personally, I really am there to watch a football game. I'm not there to watch cheerleaders. Oh, yeah. So I'm if you're wanting to try something different, why not now? Why not go ahead and do it? Throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. And I guess that's the thought process. See if this is something that can be, a little more innovative as far as, trying to build upon the game day experience, not just in Montreal, but the Canadian Football League as a whole, because maybe other teams are going to take a look at how Montreal does it and maybe they follow suit. Or maybe if they already have a cheer team and they're very happy with them, they reiterate how happy they are with him and stick with it. So I guess it's just a simple matter of wait and see.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens with it. Um, Again, we were talking about um, being able to bring in new players when it comes to introducing them, especially if they're a free agent. And that's exactly what we did this week. So we're going to be talking to the newest Alouette player to join the flock. So without further ado, let's speak with wide receiver Jerreth Stearns.
Well, the dust is finally settled now on CFL free agency for the 2026 season, it seems like, and Montreal Alouettes have made quite a few moves. One of those moves tonight will be joining us here on the flight deck. We are very excited to see and get to talk to and get to know Jerreth Stearns, wide receiver, now for the Montreal Alouettes. Jerreth, first of all, welcome to Montreal and welcome to the Alouettes flight deck.
Thank you. Appreciate it, and excited to be joining the squad, and thank you for having me.
Well, it's quite the squad you'll be joining. I mean, I'm sure you saw last year this team came this close to winning another Grey Cup in Winnipeg, where you were a member of the Blue Bombers. Did you get a chance to see that Grey Cup? Were you there at the Grey Cup?
I left. It's being on the outside of that. It's hard to watch, especially when it was our home stadium at the time. But I did watch it from home though, and it was an exciting game. And Montreal has been in the mix for the past few years, so I'm excited, man.
No, that's it. And oh yeah, I can just imagine what it must have been like for did you talk with other Bomber fans or your fellow players about the fact that your hated rivals, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, are playing in your barn?
Yeah, we talked about it for sure, quite a bit. That was a big goal of ours. We had to get there and defend the home title, but it is what it is.
Oh, that's it. But well, now also conversely, since you also played for the Roughriders at one point, were you happy for those guys winning as well, or were you just past that at that point?
I'm definitely happy for those guys. I built some strong relationships, and a big part of football is relationships. And I built some strong relationships with those guys, and I was excited for them because I know the work they put into it, and it was bittersweet for sure.
Now, talk to us about coming to Montreal. I mean, as I said, you were a member of the Roughriders for a couple of seasons. You were with Winnipeg last year. What was the decision to come to Montreal about? Was it just, I imagine you just signed a 1-year deal in Winnipeg, and for whatever reason you decided to move on. What was the decision process in coming to the Montreal Alouettes?
Obviously there's a lot of things that are attractive about Montreal. You got a great young quarterback who's a playmaker, who's real confident, just brings life to a team, and a winning culture, a great head coach, a well-ran organization, and I just saw it as a good opportunity for me for sure. So, I was just excited to have an opportunity, and they shot the offer this way.
Sometimes that's all it takes, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of an offer comes along and they make you an offer that you can't refuse, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's just a blessing to continue to play football, and I'm just grateful that it's in a great franchise and an organization like Montreal.
You talk about head coaches and stuff like that. Tell us what's it going to be like going from Coach O'Shea to Coach Moss as your head coach?
Both of them are great head coaches. I personally haven't talked to Coach Moss too much. I've only spoke to him like once or twice on the phone, but I loved my time with Coach O'Shea. He was one of the better coaches I've ever been around, and I'm grateful to be able to play for him. And I've heard nothing but great things about Coach Moss, though. All the players in the CFL and things like that have spoke highly of him, so I'm excited to get to work with him.
Obviously, there's a couple years too that you've come here to Montreal. You've been able to play obviously at Percival Molson Stadium. Obviously, you were there for the East semifinal last year. Coming into, I'm sure there are pluses and minuses when it came to the stadium and obviously the fans itself. But now that Percival Molson is going to be your home, Jerreth, what are the things you're actually looking forward to in the stadium versus when you're there as the opponent?
I think the stadium can get pretty loud. I think everyone knows that. I think my second season we played Montreal when I was with Saskatchewan. We played them, and it was a fourth quarter drive, and we needed to go score to win the game, and we couldn't hear anything, and all you could see in the stands was flashlights, and it was crazy. So I'm excited to be on the home side of that for sure.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Jerreth. The last couple players that we've spoke with that have come here to Montreal have mentioned the exact same thing. Once they get the Fireflies to come out, that's what we're calling the Fireflies to come out in Montreal. It always seems to make an impression, not necessarily on hometown players, but also the players who are visiting from the road. So that's cool. It's cool that something that you have noticed. That's really, really neat.
And the noise as well, of course. I mean, that's got to be tough as you're trying to score, you're trying to make something happen, and everybody's like, and it's funny because Montreal is the smallest stadium in the Canadian Football League, but I mean, you give these fans something to cheer about, they can get loud, and you can attest to that.
Yeah, I experienced it again firsthand last year in the first round of the playoffs. When we came to Montreal, it was crazy loud early and often, and it was definitely hard for us to hear.
For those Alouette fans, Jerreth, who have not followed you specifically, the ones that only follow the Montreal Alouettes and their players, try to introduce yourself to the Alouettes Nation, what type of wide receiver you are, what type of player you are. Get them to know who Jerreth Stearns is.
I'm just a hardworking guy. I show up and you know what you're going to get out of me every game day, every practice, every day. I'm the same guy. You know what you're going to get out of me. I'm consistent and not the biggest guy in stature, but I think the quarterback and all the fans will find out soon that they can depend on me.
Now, talk to us just really quick about your football journey. What was it that inspired you to become a football player? Was it family? Was it a coach? Was it anyone in particular that made you decide, yeah, this is what I want to do for a living?
Well, sports was just huge in my family growing up. My dad wanted us all to play basketball. But when I was real young, probably like 7, 8 years old, I turned on the TV one day and saw Reggie Bush running around going crazy. So ever since then, I was just wanted to play football. I wanted to be a running back at the time.
So what made you switch from running back, hopeful running back, to now wide receiver?
I actually played quarterback up until my senior year of high school. So I was playing quarterback and trying that out. I was pretty good, but, just not the tallest guy. So my senior year, I switched to like a receiving back and defensive back kind of player. And then my only Division I offer outside of Army and Navy was to Houston Baptist to play receiver with no real film at receiver. So I just gave it a shot.
Okay. Quarterback, eh? So think maybe we could see a possible gadget player or two out of you?
Yeah, I don't know. I tore my labrum last year, so in my shoulder, so I ain't got as much juice in it anymore.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll forget about that then. we need your hands to be working though. That's the important thing.
And those are always
not necessarily though, Cliff. If you think about it, if Jerreth can get down we still kind of need a replacement for a wide receiver who can catch the ball out of the backfield and do one of those onside punts. We kind of need one of those guys to do those things this year too. So
that's a possibility. Fair enough. I like it, Jerreth. You're open to suggestion. This is great. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to us really quick about playing for both Saskatchewan and for Winnipeg. You got to see the Labor Day Classic rivalry, the rivalry between the two. You've been on both sides of it. Share some of your thoughts of that experience, because I mean we've talked to a lot of players who have played for both Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, and everybody's got their own sort of thought on it. I'd like to get your take on the Winnipeg-Saskatchewan rivalry and what it means to both cities as well as the Canadian Football League itself.
Well, I spent an extra year in Saskatchewan, and but from both sides and both perspectives, you can just tell just I don't want to say hatred, but just the amount of intensity it is going into that weekend from fans, coaches, players. Everybody just wants to win that game. It's an important game, and it's an exciting one for sure.
I like the I would say Hatfields and McCoys, but I hope I'm not dating myself. And Jerreth, I hope you know what I'm talking about. No, I didn't think so.
Look, just because he's from Texas doesn't mean he knows Cowboys, bud.
Oh, well, yeah. Obviously, one of the interesting things, too, you talk about doing the Labor Day Classic. There's an interesting twist to coming to Montreal also. And that obviously happens to be that about 95% of Alouettes Nation and the people that live in Quebec do speak French. Do you happen to know any French? And if not, because we know the Owls players do take some classes. When do your classes start?
I do not know any French yet, but Samuel Emilis I've been asking him since I've been in the CFL to teach me. He never would. So this is me exposing him. He said I had to download Duolingo today for him to even start helping me. But when I found out I was coming to Montreal, my girlfriend, first things first, downloaded the app. So she's been doing her own little study, and I need to get on it.
Okay. Well, listen, I can tell you right now, a little goes a long way. Just as long as you master bonjour, merci, and je m'appelle Jerreth, you'll be fine.
But the next thing that Jerreth needs to know, can also tell, is his number. Now, we've seen what you have had in the past, Jerreth. What number do you want to have this year?
I don't know. I haven't looked at what's open, honestly, but I don't know. I'll get back to you when I find out what's up.
Okay, because I know you had 89 in Winnipeg, and I believe in Saskatchewan too, and I do believe it is available now. So, just saying, that wouldn't be a terrible choice.
We'll see.
All right.
You are for your off season. Are you currently in Texas, or where are you currently staying?
Right now, I'm in New Mexico with my girlfriend and her family, but most of the time I'll be.
What is your off season usually like? I mean, how from the end of the season, depending on when that your team has finished the season, what do you usually do in the off season? Do you take a couple of weeks off before you get back into things? Do you get together with some CFL players for some some different sessions and stuff like that? What's your off season usually like?
So for the first month or two, it'll really just be month and a half of probably just letting the body heal, recover. Maybe some light things like basketball, golf, not really too much stuff. And then once it starts, I really start ramping it up January, and then just lifting, running routes, conditioning. Still play golf and basketball. Like to do my other little side sports. And Davis and all the guys are going out to Phoenix March 23rd, something like that. So we'll be out there putting a little work in together as a group.
I was just about to ask, Davis is based in Arizona. Would you be getting together with him? So it sounds like, yes, you will.
Yeah.
What's your handicap in golf?
I don't know. What, 85 to 95?
Okay. My handicap is actually getting out there and playing it. So, I mean, I just avoid it.
I don't know what that is handicap-wise, but I shoot 85 range.
Okay, listen. That's impressive. That much I do know. If you break 100, you're in the clear. So that's pretty good. All right, Jerreth.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, obviously we're excited to have you be a part of Alouettes Nation, to have you be a part of this city and this football team. I know you've got some great teammates that you're gonna be getting together with soon, and training camp is just around the corner. What's the one thing that you're most excited about when it comes to coming to Montreal itself? Besides being a part of this organization, what's the one thing that really stands out to you when it comes to Montreal and that you want to immerse yourself in?
Outside of football?
Outside of football.
Yeah, I think just the culture, every time I would come visit Montreal in itself, you could just tell it just feels like a little bit different than the rest of Canada, at least for me personally. I think there's a lot to experience and the people there are unique. So I'm excited for that for sure.
Oh, there's one thing for sure is that once you do get here for camp, you'll be fully immersed within the Quebec culture because where camp currently is held, it's about an hour outside of Montreal. You'll get used to things real quick, Jerreth. You really will.
If I could offer some advice, make friends with guys like Jeffrey Conte, Arcou, Pierre-Olivier Lestage, all the French guys. They'll be more than happy to help you out.
Awesome.
This is great. Getting to know you has been absolutely fantastic, Jerreth. Before we let you go, drop your socials. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can connect with you before training camp starts.
On Twitter and Instagram, that's the only things I use. And it's just Jerreth Stearns on both. No spaces, no underscores, nothing.
Easy peasy. Jerreth, as I said, we're excited to have you on board. This 2026 season, I think, is going to really shock a lot of people. I mean, the Alouettes are already the odds-on favorite, according to FanDuel, to win the Grey Cup. So no pressure, but we expect you to be a big part of that. So I know you're excited to get here. We're excited to have you. So all I can say is get ready for an exciting time here in the 514. We're excited to have you, and we're looking forward to meeting you at training camp this coming May.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me.
ladies and gentlemen, Jerreth Stearns. Thank you again for joining us here on the Alouettes Flight Deck. We appreciate you, and best of luck for this season.
As you were mentioning before at the beginning, it's great bringing these new guys in. They're not on the roster. We may not have known who they were, especially, as I said, I think a lot of fans will usually stick with their own players that they know on the team and try to get to know them as best as possible. But it's like last year when we brought in Josh Archibald. Mm-hmm. I always love bringing these new guys in. And luckily for us, we were able to bring Jerreth in, and can't wait to see what this guy can do in camp.
Yeah. No, to me, that's part of the fun of free agency and doing our show when we do, is because we're able to talk with these new Alouettes. Again, 2024, we introduced everybody to Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund, who has become a massive fan favorite here in Montreal. Joshua Archibald, as you mentioned, last year we introduced him, and local boy coming back home to play for the Alouettes is always a fun story, and has also been a great contributor to this organization, both on and off the field. Now, Jerreth Stearns, what's he going to do for the Alouettes? Only time's going to tell, but I'm very excited to have him on board. It was great to talk with him, and definitely looking forward to seeing what he does, not just in training camp, but with this entire Alouettes team as they get together, as he becomes a part of this high-octane offense led by Davis Alexander. I'm curious to see how Jerreth Stearns is going to fall into line with guys like Cole Speaker, Tyler Snead, Tyson Philpott, and so on. So I'm very excited to see how that's going to turn out. So once again, we're so thankful to have Jerreth join us this evening. And yeah, anytime he wants to come on the flight deck and chat with us, the door is always open.
Exactly. And by the way, if people don't know, Jerreth is about the same size as Tyler, the Need for Snead. He's listed at 5'8". But he's been very productive. In the 3 seasons that he's been in the CFL, he's been very productive.
And if you believe that Tyler Snead is 5'8", then I've got some ocean property in Regina to sell you. But we love Tyler. Don't get it twisted. We love Tyler. So good things do come in small packages.
100%. 100%. Don't forget, we are on social media. You can find us almost anywhere. If you want to find the entire 10-plus season archive of the show, you can head over to www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can also find us over at X or Blue Sky over at Alouettes FL Deck, on Facebook over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, make sure you go over there, hit your bell button, check the notifications, and make sure they're turned on from when a new show does become available, or when we do happen to go live. Because not only are the full broadcast shows there, we also have our live shows, and you also have the audio version of the shows, and you also have, coming up, you will have the next season of Flight Deck Live. If you're looking to rep merchandise, make sure you do head over to our shop over at www.flightdeckgear.ca. And speaking of, we have a kind of, if anybody's been watching the show and if you're saying, hey, Tim, what are you wearing, Tim? Got a sneak peek for everybody of our newest shirt. I'm not going to give the name of it because then it would give it away, but it'll be there on the website. But here it is. It is our Irish band. Help me here.
Irish rock
homage.
band.
Yeah, Irish rock band homage shirt. It's you two. Come on.
This is very much the epitome of if you know, you know, as we talk about this. Exactly. Is part of our if you know, you know lineup.
Exactly.
This is, I think, a very good qualifier of this.
If you can name specifically, not necessarily the icons. I mean, the icons should be self-explanatory, but maybe not. But if you can tell me what it represents, I want you to DM me on X or send us an email, and we will send you your own copy before anybody else gets it of our newest "If You Know, You Know" shirt.
We should make that clear. The first person to correctly DM us.
Yes, first person. Yes, thank you. Also, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Royal Retros. If you go over to royalretros.com and use the code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. Again, slow news week, but some interesting stuff. And we were talking about how in 2027, obviously 2026 are going to be some minor changes to the CFL rules. And they're looking to create something. And obviously in 2027 is when the big thing does come out, Cliff. The sort of a tie to CFL rules changing, the UFL, where a lot of players have come from the UFL, USFL, XFL to Montreal. A lot of very named players have come here. Mm-hmm. But they're about to launch their new season, and they themselves are changing some rules. And I'm curious to know what you think when it comes to the rules that they're potentially changing, how they might work in the CFL, if that would be the case. Because I've seen some of the pundits go, "Oh, this would be good to the CFL. It's always good to make changes." Da 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 da. I don't know if any of them would really make any difference here in the CFL. One, by the way, which always seems to be the case everywhere that CFL, college football, and seems to be any of these spring leagues or whatnot have come about, is that they've gone to the 1 foot inbounds rule. That will be a catch. That's the way that's been in the CFL forever. Mm-hmm. One of the interesting things that we've seen recently, especially with how well the kickers have been kicking in the CFL, is that they themselves in the UFL are implementing, if you kick over 60 yards, it'll be a 4-point field goal. They have their different PATs, 1, 2, and 3 points. The 3 points is from the 5-yard line. And one of the interesting rules, too, that they're coming out with, Cliff, is if you get beyond the 50, the other team's 50, you can't punt. So even if you get a penalty and you get pushed back past the 50, you still can't punt. It's just a night, as I said. We've always seen that spring football always has been trying to make some ideas into reality. One of them really has been that they tested was the new kickoff rule that they have in the NFL. Mm-hmm. To me, it's just there. It's what it is. I still like what they do in the CFL, but just for rules' sake, any of these have really stood out to you? I mean, some of them seem to be really gimmicks, and it's funny. A lot of people would say a lot of the things that happen in the CFL may be gimmicks. I brought up the onside punt in our interview with Jerreth. That's a thing that nobody thought anybody would. Coach Moss found it, used it to his advantage. Any of these? You think any of these other rules could really make a dent in how gridiron football is played, whether it be the CFL version or the American version?
Well, if fans are known for one thing and one thing only, it's their willingness to accept new rules. I say that with tongue firmly planted in cheek.
I'll say, so said no one.
I got to say, credit to the UFL for at least trying something. I mean, it's whether or not these rules are going to work, or if they, it sounds good maybe on paper, but once you put it into practice, maybe it doesn't quite work so well. I could definitely say if the CFL were to switch to 60-plus yard field goals being worth 4 points, Sergio Castillo would all of a sudden want a major pay raise, because if anyone can make a 60-plus yard field goal, it is definitely Sergio Castillo. Jose Maltos was very close with 58 last season, so I'm sure there's a little motivation for him to maybe see if, hey, I can do this. I can get 60 plus. Especially if it means a little extra bonus money as a result. Again, it means more points being put on the board as well for your team. Then so much the better. Mm-hmm. A lot of these rules, though, I mean, and it's funny, when it talks about some of the oddball rules in football, when it comes to the CFL or UFL or anything, I now get why Pat McAfee, talks about state fair football. It's, as you said, gimmicky. It's and I get you're trying something to see if it works or not, and if it doesn't work, then you obviously don't use it, and the NFL won't adopt it. However, if it does work, then yes, the NFL will adopt it. Case in point being the modified kickoff that's being used now in the NFL. And I'm kind of like you. It is what it is. I mean, does it prevent injuries? Does it make things more exciting? I don't know. It is what it is, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm pretty ambivalent to it. I do prefer the way the CFL does it, like a proper kickoff or punt or anything like that. Like, I mean, to me, that's how football should be played. I would hate to see, quite frankly, this kickoff in the CFL, and I don't think we will. Quite frankly, I think it works down in the States, and maybe once the field changes in the CFL, if it does actually change, because I think a lot of people are really, really hoping that these dimension changes are just talk, and there's still time between now and 2027 before these rules get implemented. So there's always a chance that these rules could just be forgotten about and just pretend that they never happened. I don't know. I mean, the way I see it, let the UFL test it out, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, it just stays there. So I couldn't see the CFL adopting any of these rules. I mean, some of the rules they've already adopted, like as you said, the 1 foot inbounds as a catch. I mean, that's a tale as old as time in the Canadian Football League. So I don't know. I as much as I'm all for innovation and trying new stuff, at the same time, over the past couple of years, it's been a bit much. I think it's sensory overload for your average CFL fan to like introduce a lot of these changes and expect them to just go along with it. So maybe just let the UFL be the testing ground for all football, not just the NFL, but for all football being played, and see what happens. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, but the first couple of times. But again, it's kind of, like I said, it's got that state fair, that gimmick, like, kind of thing to it. So I don't know. I guess I'd have to see it in action before I can really truly form a proper opinion on it.
It's kind of like, too, you and I have seen our fair share of football. We've seen the arena style football, but it's something that I've grown up on, and I really like aspects of that. It reminds me similar of a smaller CFL game in a different venue and stuff like that, especially with the forward motion and the waggle in that game. And obviously the nets in the arena style game. It a lot of people would call it a gimmick, but if you think about it, the NFL themselves would not have adopted the shorter or the smaller uprights if it didn't improve kicking. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have borrowed it if that was the case. So as we've seen with the new kickoff, I think the new kickoffs rule in the NFL came from spring football. As you said, I think it's just a matter of seeing how these things flesh out and how it's going to work. And again, as you said, there could be, we're prepared to believe there are going to be changes for 27 when it comes to it. I would imagine it's going to be the case, considering that a lot of these teams need to have new fields. Some do. And when it comes to these changes, when it comes to the figuring everything out, I don't know. It's still going to be a very interesting season leading up to, as I said before, the U Sport AGM in June. I think really right there will be the determination, and should be what's really going to happen. But anyways.
Whether or not the U Sport teams are sharing fields with Canadian Football League teams, if they're going to fall in line with the CFL rule changes or not, which, again, depending on who you ask, it's either they don't want to, but if they have to, they will change, but they'd rather not change. That seems to be what I've been hearing anyways, as far as, I won't say it's reluctance per se, but I mean, it's simply like, well, what we've done has always worked, so why change? Why would we change it just because the Canadian Football League's changing? Which is certainly their right. And again, the CFL has said if the U Sports do not want to go along with the changes, then the CFL is going to shoulder whatever costs are associated with changing from a U Sports field to a Canadian Football League field and vice versa. So again, as you said, there's an AGM later in the year, and we'll see what they decide. I mean, they may just say, you know what, no, we're good with our game the way it is, and we're not changing.
Combine's coming up, but I still think one of the weird things, it's like they went forward and then came back again, is why are they naming the 2025 Coach of the Year award at the same time as the 2026 Combine? I mean, you've moved on.
they did this back in the day, and I never understood it. I never understood why. And the excuse that was given was to help get people talking CFL football in the dead of winter, which to me is beyond stupid because, quite frankly, you still can talk CFL football throughout the winter. You got free agency, you got the combine. This notion of having to coach the coach, we know who it is. Well, I mean, they know who it is. Just do it at the CFL Awards, which they had been doing for the past couple of years, and you know what? There was no problem with it. Like this nonsense of waiting 4 months after the season's over to say it's either Jason Moss or Corey Mace. What a joke! I mean, I'm sorry. This is why people laugh at the CFL. I'm sorry to say, this really gives it that amateur hour nonsense, that rhetoric that people like to deride the CFL with. And when you see stuff like that, it's really, really hard to defend it. It's really hard to say, well, the reason why they do this, no, it's dumb. You have the CFL Awards. That is a CFL award. Give it out at the CFL Awards. Trying to drag this out is just ridiculous. I'm sorry to say it's ridiculous. As far as I'm concerned, you're doing it just before the combine. The combine is supposed to be the star of the show. I'm not saying you're taking away from these kids that are going to compete and showcase what they can do, but at the same time, it just feels like it's thrown in there as kind of like an attraction or something to get people talking. Just do it at the awards itself in November. You're giving out most outstanding player, most outstanding this, most outstanding that, coach of the year. Just do it right there and then. I mean, there will be a new award given out this year, and it's a Ted Gavea Memorial Award for Executive of the Year, which I think is absolutely outstanding. That's great, but again, same idea. Do it in November. The votes have already been cast. They know who the winner is going to be. Just announce it right there and then. And if you want to bring in a new award, which I'm all for, I definitely think a Executive Year is a great idea. There's so many people that have been basically uncrowned Executives of the Year, and now that they're finally going to get their flowers, I think is a fantastic thing. But doing it 4 months after the fact, after the season's finished, I'm sorry, it makes absolutely no sense to me. It's just, I almost want to say it's trying to establish relevance. You shouldn't have to do that. Especially at this point in the game, so to speak. I thought we were beyond that, quite frankly. And no, the CFL just decides to get its own way again when it comes to nonsense like this. And I personally don't get it. I mean, I'm sure there's a really good reason for it, but I fail to see it. I really do.
I agree with you 100%. Last thing that we'll talk about this week, and by the way, we will be back in 2 weeks as we're still on our off-season schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It was announced that I love this. Again, goes to your point what we were talking about before. Why are they bringing up the 2025 Coach of the Year award now, when you also now have the Calgary Grey Cup Committee start talking about their festival? And I will admit, I love what they're doing. It should be fun in Calgary for the Grey Cup this year. Mm-hmm. But man, seeing that, Cliff, you can't tell me, seeing what they're doing and what we've seen over the past couple of years by going to Grey Cup and stuff like that and what's being able to be done, to potentially see Montreal's Grey Cup Committee announce their festival and get for them to actually move into the future versus what they last did in 2008. You can't tell me that we're so hoping that the CFL and the Alouettes will be making that announcement very shortly, that the Owls will host at least the 2028 or the 2029 Grey Cup at the Big O.
Well, and again, I kind of want to see them make sure that the Big O is ready to go. I mean, I assume construction's going well and there's no hiccups or anything like that. But again, this is Quebec, and when it comes to construction in Quebec, it's It's maybe I better watch what I say here. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, if the Alouettes could successfully bid for and get the Grey Cup, whether it's in, I'm going to say 29 or 30. Let's temper expectations a little bit. I think 2029 or 2030 is very doable for the Montreal Alouettes. By then, Big O's roof should be finished. There should be, everything should be taken care of in that regards. And yeah, I definitely think if they can land the Grey Cup and just get people excited about it, even in the dead of winter, and just talk about this is what we're planning to do, this is what we want to do, and this is how we're going to blow everybody's minds. I mean, people have been waiting 20 plus years now for, or it will be about 20 years by the time the Alouettes have the opportunity to host a Grey Cup again. And you better believe they're going to put on a party. And people have been clamoring for this. People keep, every time I go to Grey Cup, people are asking me, I guess I become a Montreal representative, like, when are the Alouettes going to have the Grey Cup? When they're going to have, I keep saying them, got to get the Big O fixed. As soon as they get the Big O fixed, put a proper roof on it, and make sure that the rest of it doesn't fall apart, then we can have a Grey Cup. People want to go to Grey Cup. People want to go to Grey Cup in Montreal. And they, believe it or not, people want to go to the Big O and watch the Grey Cup in Montreal.
I know, despite how we feel about the Big O, it's still just getting the game here.
Well, I think what a lot of people worry about is that the Alouettes would go back to playing out of the Olympic Stadium, and you can't do that. I'm sorry. That glass, you can't unbreak that glass. It's got to be personal most the same again, unless Pierre-Karl Belledeau wants to build a proper football-only stadium, kind of like what Princess Auto Stadium is in Winnipeg, or Mosaic Field or Mosaic Stadium is out in Saskatchewan. Again, if you want to build Stade Videotron somewhere in the downtown core, have at it. I mean, that's the only thing that would be, as far as I'm concerned, acceptable for Montreal Alouettes. Playing full-time at Olympic Stadium is simply not acceptable. Grey Cup, absolutely, because it's going to be sold out. 60,000 plus fans. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be amazing. But regular season, again, unless you're going to do like BC Lions and have like a big name act come and do your pregame show, but you'd have to do it every single game. I don't think Snoop Dogg or 50 Cent or any other hip hop stars are going to come play every single. No, that's not going to happen. And I'm sorry, you're not going to get 50,000.
How good the Big O is for concerts. Just no.
Right. Thing is, the only way Big O is even acceptable as a football stadium is if you got 50,000 plus fans in there, and you're not going to get 50,000 plus fans to a regular season game for the Montreal Alouettes. Maybe, that's ancient history as far as I'm concerned. You're talking like 50 years ago when the stadium first opened, and the Alouettes were really a top-notch team, but it ain't that. I'm not saying they're not a top-notch team, but they're not filling no 50,000 seats full of people. Even if you were to get some major superstars to come and do a concert beforehand, that's just simply not going to happen. But Grey Cup, 100%. That's going to be sold out. That's going to be crazy. Everybody's going to be flocking for that. But got to get the roof done. So as soon as the roof's done, as soon as that happens, I fully expect Montreal, the Alouettes organization, to bid on and host a Grey Cup. I'm going to say 2029, 2030 maybe, but not before that.
Obviously, any news that does come across the wire, make sure you're checking all of our socials for any more information that may come about. But other than that, we want to thank Jerreth for joining us this week. And like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks for our next show. Hopefully there's some interesting stuff, because again, like I said last episode, we got a couple things in the works, and but we're doing the Invitational in next week. That's in Waterloo, and then obviously the camp, the combine is at the end of March. So again, a lot of stuff to come about, and I know, like we have for the past couple of years, we're going to have fun choosing, well, Cliff will, who we're going to have as our spotlights from the camp. So those guys are going to fit hopefully in Montreal colors once once everything is finished. So we will see you guys in the next couple of weeks. Cliff, I will talk to you soon, my friend. And we'll
Yes,
talk to
indeed.
you, talk to everybody at the next show. So for everybody here for the last time at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.